So yesterday, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals trampled the Second Amendment, and like clockwork, good old Governor Abbott comes out and starts doing his dog and pony show on Facebook, saying he can't stand that more judges in the federal government are trampling the Constitution. Well, it's a dog and pony show. It's funny here in Texas when they did the legislation and enacted permitted open carry. Governor Abbott had the opportunity to say, Second Amendment's constitutional. We're going to go ahead and go constitutional carry. He didn't do that. It's because the state makes money renting you your rights. And he wants you to think that he's sympathetic to your right, you wanting to use your rights, but he's really not. So it's all a bunch of bullshit. Right along with his post earlier in the day and the day before about Texas has the toughest immigration laws. And it couldn't coincide better than an undocumented young lady insulting the country with her video and her Twitter rants. So there's a whole lot to be said about what's going on. What is really sad is the reasoning capacity of the people that continue to believe what all these politicians say. Governor Abbott is a fine example of a career politician, a lawyer that lives by one system and wants you to live by another. Governor Abbott himself became injured and paralyzed because of a tree falling, and sued the property owner and a tree trimming company, and he got $6 million. But after he was awarded $6 million, he championed legislation to limit or cap the rewards or awards that anyone can get from lawsuits of the same nature at $750,000. So, really and truthfully, if you all want to buy hook, line, and sinker all of the garbage that's spouted by our politicians, go right on ahead. You want to keep voting two-party system and picking politicians that they don't stand by you, they don't stand behind you. They stand in front of you with their hand out wanting money and support and your approval. Well, Abbott spouted off about Washington, the federal government, and judges, when it's really simple. If Abbott had those principles and those core values that he's claiming to have in this dog and pony show, it'd be simple. He'd send a message to Washington and he'd say, enact what you want, do whatever you want. My state and my citizens are exempt from this day forward. But he will never do that. No governor's ever going to do that. They're part of the system, the establishment, the status quo. Instead, he's going to quietly, behind the scenes, play the same game, enable the same system, and enact laws that restrict your rights, trample your Constitution, and then publicly he's going to come out and say that he's tired of Washington doing it. Well, Washington can only do what the states and the citizens allow them to do. So who does Governor Abbott work for? Does he work for you and me, or does he work for Washington? Obviously, the answer is he works for Washington. He doesn't work for us. He's a bigot and a coward that has a dog and pony show that he puts on publicly, trying to woo people and appease them. The latest one on the gun rights is a prime example. He wants to criticize the federal government and judges. But yet when he had and still has the power today to enact constitutional carry, he did not. He chose to allow the legislation to go through as written, and he signed off on it. So now you can either carry concealed or you can carry open, but you're going to have to buy a concealed carry permit to do either. So your Second Amendment doesn't mean anything in Texas. You're renting your own rights. Yeah, you can own guns. That's only part of it. But if Abbott is true to his words, we'd see some real quick changes here. He would set an example for others to follow. And if they didn't follow, that's fine, as long as he takes care of business here at home. But Governor Abbott speaks out of one side of his mouth to the people and speaks out of the other side of his mouth behind closed doors amongst his peers, his colleagues. He lives by one set of rules and imposes another set of rules on other people. He got $6 million for his injury. If you have a similar injury, you're going to be lucky to get $750,000. You don't have the political clout or the political favors to get that accomplished the way he did, and he made sure of that. It's just like if an injured worker in Texas is injured, even killed, by gross negligence of an employer. Willful negligence. Doesn't matter. He supports and allows what's called exclusive remedy in this state. Even the widow or the children of a killed worker stands very little chance of having any remedy in this state. But hey, Governor Abbott works for you, works for me. Awesome governor, right? He can blow smoke up everybody's ass about the Constitution and how he stands for it all he wants. Austin and San Antonio, they're sanctuary cities. He can talk big on graduation. Hell, we got a girl that just got online and blew smoke up everybody's ass and shit in everybody's face. And she's getting a free ride at UT for 2 years. Can't even say thank you to the taxpayers that made it possible. Probably can't even say thank you to her mom that probably had to scrub toilets and empty trash. And took one position away from a citizen of this country that would have been willing to do the same job. And created an environment that lowered the wages for the ones that can get work. They're going to have to do it cheaper. So, Governor Abbott can talk big on immigration. He won't do nothing about it. Everything's a formality just to make you people and me feel warm and fuzzy that he's doing something. Bullshit, he's not doing nothing. He can talk big on the Constitution, both the U.S. Constitution and the Constitution of the state of Texas. But his actions show different. His actions are the total polar opposite of what he's saying. But yet everybody wants to buy every little piece of bullshit that comes out of his mouth. I think he takes advantage of the fact that he's in a wheelchair, makes sure everybody sees that he's in a wheelchair, so he gets that extra little bit of support and sympathy, like, hey, look, he's doing it. I think he's fake. I think it's all a show. He may be crippled, he may have been injured. He made sure he's getting money and took care of for life. But to the rest of you in the state of Texas, God forbid anything happen to you or your family, he don't care. He wants to talk like he cares about the Second Amendment and what happened in the Ninth Court. He don't care. And the problem is that law that was enacted in California and was supported, and then the lower court went against it, and the Ninth overturned it in full support of not allowing people to utilize their Second Amendment. That sets a precedence. And it's going to roll downhill. So what's Governor Abbott really going to do? Nothing. What can Governor Abbott do? Nothing. Nothing monumental. Nothing that is going to be life-changing for anyone. He's a puppet. He's a face. And he works for Washington. And who does Washington work for? Who knows? At this point, it doesn't matter if it's Rothschild, Soros, or nobody at all. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that none of them work for you or me. And it's sad that the cognitive ability of the people and the reasoning skills that we all have, that people refuse to use them. People want to click like and share on Facebook, or like and retweet on Twitter. They might want to stir some shit, but they're not really doing anything. Are we even capable of doing anything? No matter how hard we try? Boy, I don't know. But we definitely need to find out. We all need to raise hell. So why is it okay for Abbott to make millions and then limit your ability? Why is it okay for Abbott to criticize the courts and the federal government on the Constitution when he himself supports and contributes to the fact that you're not getting all your constitutional rights here in Texas? So, you want to rent your rights? That's basically all we're doing. So they're not rights, they're privileges. Two things you need to remember in this world. Fines are for supposedly doing bad things. Taxes are for doing too well. So, next time you buy a hunting or fishing license, why don't you stop and think, gee, I'm glad I got this privilege. Next time you look at your driver's license, say, gee, I'm glad I got this privilege. Next time you look at a gun, say, gee, I'm glad I got this privilege. Because it's obvious. Mr. Abbott doesn't believe you have any rights any more than any other politician or judge, local, state, or federal. So chew on that for a little bit. Think about whether you're going to believe and like everything you see and hear that he puts on for a dog and pony show, or if you're going to question it and question authority. Because really and truthfully, we all have an obligation to ourselves and the people around us to question the authority and refuse to comply in many cases. Appreciate it. Have a good day.